colors, they're carrying a white cap also.
Olivier va lancer Miss Tahiti. Elle va déployer de très très belles foulées pour venir s'imposer dans un excellent style. Il est certain qu'une nouvelle fois, l'importance de la corde a joué, semble-t-il, puisque Miss Tahiti s'est retrouvée au sein du peloton.
Olivier Pellier, 24 years old, will be having his third ride. His toe tar. Second ride for Eric Saint-Martin, one that it is only other attempt on Urban Sea in '93. 4 is Lando, Michael Roberts, his 8th ride. 5, Party Pearl, Guy Guignard, he's 45 years old, it's his 7th ride. 6 is Freedom Cry, carrying the first colours of Daniel Wildenstein. 3rd ride for Olivier Pellier. 7 is Gunboat Diplomacy, who carries the second colours, written by Dominique Berth. It's his 10th ride. 8 is the Argentinian Challenger, supplemented at a fee of £48,000 for the race. He's the winningmost horse in the race. He's won over £1 million sterling. He's ridden by Guillaume Senna, 37 years old, his first ride in the race. 9 is Balanchine, ridden by Walter Swinburne, won it in '83. It's his 14th ride. 10 is Sunrise Song, ridden by Gerald Mosse, his 8th ride. He won it in '90 on Saumarez. 11th is Swain, ridden by Mick Cannan. It's his 6th ride. He won it in '89 on Carroll House. 12 is Lamtara, ridden by Frankie Dettori. It's being said that they're already pruning the trees in the paddock in case he dismounts as he did at Ascot and gets hung up in the branches. And this is Frankie's 8th ride in the race. 13 is Lusso, ridden by Cash Asmussen, who won it in '91 on Suave Dancer. 14 is El Tenor, ridden by Stéphane Courette. 15, Pure Grain, a 6th ride for John Reed, who won it in '88 on Tony Bin. And 16 is Carling, ridden by 22-year-old Thierry Tuillier.
Well, what a fabulous scene in the paddock, and here is the surprise favourite. I say surprise favourite because he's on his own in the betting in Lamtara, whereas others are linked for betting purposes. A 5-2 shot. And he's taking it all in his stride, although just sweating us a little bit, as you can see, between his loins. But what a fabulous field for this Arc. 8 classic winners and runners from all over the world. Well, Amtara, only Rebo has been an unbeaten winner of the Arc, and he comes here uniquely as an unbeaten winner of the Derby and the King George. So we know that he's got stamina and plenty of courage.
Right down turn and into the straight, and it's still Broadway Flower with the advantage from Strategic Choice. Pentar's making very good progress from the rear. Into the straight and Broadway Flower from Strategic Choice and Lamtara and Pentar. They're coming down to the 2 furlong pole. Broadway Flower, Strategic Choice and Pentar coming there with Lamtara also. Pentar has taken up the running now from Lamtara, Strategic Choice and Broadway Flower. It's Pentar with the advantage as they hit the furlong pole from the Derby winner Lamtara. Lamtara is fighting back. Pentar on the near side, Lamtara on the far side. Lamtara's beginning to get up on the far side, and Lamtara's going to win it. Lamtara is winning from Pentar.
Lamtara, the one they've all got to beat, but there are plenty of contenders to do so in this paddock full of royalty. And this filly, Balanchine, is certainly one who's attracted terrific support. She survived severe colic last autumn, remember. Is she back to her best? Well, it's a key question, but it certainly looks that way after her battle royal with last year's winner in the Prix-Foy.
Balanchine with a white face over on the far side. Now we'll see what she's made of. She sprints away, a length and a half to Carnegie. Gathering her in now. They've sprinted clear of Totutar, and further back than a Zillion. Coming inside the final furlong and a half now. And Carnegie on the near side ranges up, gets his neck in front. Balanchine's fighting back determinedly. What a game, filly. It's Carnegie on the near side. Balanchine, she's fighting back. She's all hard, but Carnegie just holding her. Balanchine coming back. They hit the line. My golly, it's close. Carnegie and Balanchine can't pick it. About 3 or 4 lengths away, Totutar, and last of all, a Zillion.
Beaten a short head that day, but she was race rusty. She'd been off for a long time, and today she looks fit to do battle. This, remember, the winner last year of the Oaks and the Irish Derby. If she reproduces her form in the Irish Derby, she's the form horse in the race. The horses and the connections moving out of the paddock as the umbrellas go up and the first drops of rain start to fall, and the 16 runners prepare to parade in front of the packed stands here at Longchamp. And what a fabulous galaxy of equine talent. And André Fabre, a man who must be very sanguine about this race, having won 2 of the 3 first races of the day. It's his 1995 winner, 1994 winner, Carnegie, who leads the parade. Is this a race for a 4-year-old? It probably is today, with the ground as it is. We know he loves the ground. We know he loves this track.
Last year's winner, and he certainly looks on his toes here this afternoon. Carnegie, bidding to become the 6th horse to win back-to-back arcs.
Followed in the parade, but our French cameraman is reluctant to leave Carnegie, and why not? Because, as Jim says, he looks in the absolute peak of form. Drawn 14 towards the outside, but Thierry Janet knows the difficulties and complications of the course. 3 times a winner over the course and distance.
His whole preparation has been geared towards the Arc this year. He's been twice to Britain. He ran 5th in the Coronation Cup, very much in need of the run, 6th in the King George, but he'll be primed and ready for today.
Strategic choice, one of the 8 classic winners. He won the Irish St. Leger, 3rd, remember, in the King George, beaten only a length and 3 parts by Baltara. By Lamtara. Number 3 is Totutard, trained at Deauville, twice a course winner. Number 4, the German champion, the biggest prize winner ever in German racing history, won the German Derby in record time. Number 5 is Party Prowl. 6, Freedom Cry, Olivier Pellier. 7, the other Wildenstein, Gunboat Diplomacy. Such a brilliant comeback after 16 months off the course at Maison Lafitte after he'd had a knee problem. Number 8 behind him is El Sambrador from Argentina, the Argentinian champion, last year's Argentine Derby winner, recently the winner of the Grand Prix de Brazil. He's only once raced right-handed. Number 11 rather, is Swain, the other Sheikh Mohammed, unbeaten, but yet to claim a significant scalp. That's Lusso, blinkered for the first time today, Cash Asmussen. Behind him, number 14, El Tenor, blinkered, ridden by the apprentice Stefan Corrette, rank outsider. Now the fillies, Balanchine, number 9. Can she become the 2nd in 3 years to win? Urban C won it 3 years ago. Fillies won this race 5 years in succession. In the late 70s and early 80s, she looks terrific. The grey, number 10, Sunrise Song, another filly, 3rd to Swain in the Grand Prix de Deauville. Number 15, Pure Grain, and last in the parade, the favourite Lamtara, and Carling in the colours of Terry Yoshida, who, as we heard, changed hands for 5 million francs earlier this week. This remarkable freak filly, winner of the French Oaks and the Prix Vermeer.
Well, the runners on their way to post now, and as you can see, a much bigger crowd, quite significantly than we saw yesterday, and a wonderful race. It never loses its magic, the Arc. There are always so many question marks going into the event. Here we could see history made this afternoon. We could see a horse such as Lamtara walk away and be rated at another Mill Reef if he was successful this afternoon, repeating that great horse's exploits. He comes into the race very fresh. You can see Frankie Dettori there, just keeping a little bit away on the left there, the green jacket with the white chevron, just keeping them a little bit to the right of the other horses. There we see the Argentinian horse as well, who was supplemented from the prize money that he won in Brazil last start. Swain, Mick Cannan just saying earlier, he thought the ground would suit him. Just a matter of whether he was up to the class. Lusso in the centre, blinkered for the first time. He's certain to be right up there vying for the early lead. Those blinkers will be a big help this afternoon.
Lamtara there showing his usual signs of immaturity, if you like, just shying away from the other animals. Remember, he's so inexperienced, only his 4th run as Carnegie leads the Candida post, followed by Strategic Choice. They stream past the grandstand. Number 6 Freedom Cry. Will he get the trip? Alec Wodenstein said he might get it once. If it's only once, it needs to be today. The rain has stopped as the runners stream towards the 1.5-mile start.
Not too far to go down there. They've only got about 3 or 4 furlongs. Here's Graham Rock with the betting.
And at 2.3 to 1 here on the course, we've got the 3 horses together, Carnegie, Swain and Balanchine, linked together there at 2.3 to 1. But the one they have come for since betting opened is Lamtara, 3.9 to 1 into 2.4 to 1. Then it's 4.9 to 1 Carling, 5.6 to 1 Gunboat Diplomacy and Freedom Cry coupled, 9.3 to 1 Pure Grain, 19.1 to 1 Lusso, 21 to 1 Lando, 21.3 to 1 El Sambrador, 22.9 to 1 Strategic Choice.
So the 3-horse combo becomes marginally favourite in front of Lamtara, who, remember, for Paris Mutuel win purposes, is on his own here. He's 2.4 to 1.
Thought she was very game, Carling, when she won the Prix Vermeil here. She fought all the way to the line. She picks up out of soft ground, which is a big help. This ground this afternoon, 3.9 and drying. It's just a little bit more difficult than if it had rained overnight, I think. And certainly would have been one way or the other. But she can accelerate in this sort of ground, bought by Japanese interests, and a big talking point, no doubt, in Japanese bloodstock circles today.
Well, what a filly she's been. A real remarkable freak, but what we didn't know about her was until the 1.5-mile races was whether she'd stay, but now we do know that. We know she's got stamina, and we know she's got plenty of guts.
Musetta being tackled by La Rocha on the outside, Carling the far side. Then follows Fantica battling away. Matiara getting up on the fence, followed next by Valley of Gold. Inside the final furlong and a half, Carling on the far side. Races into the lead now from La Rocha, followed by Matiara out after the leader now. They've got 100 metres left to go. Carling in front from La Rocha, Matiara. And Valley of Gold down the outside from Muncie, but Carling's going to win the Vermeil. Carling goes on to win it in good style, flashing home out wide. Valley of Gold to make it interesting with La Rocha.
What a tough lady she is, and that Prix Vermeil is so often a valuable trial, one of the most significant trials for the Arc. But she had a tough race there. Is it a fillies race today? There are 4: Balanchine, Sunrise Song, Pure Grain and Carling. A huge crowd in the stand watching the 16 runners make their way to post, enjoying a fairly balmy Parisian autumn day. And they've done the Grand Set, they've done the Tiercé, and oh, I wonder where they've come from.
The far side.
Well, the capacity crowd here, or near capacity crowd, a big crowd for Arc Day, and turning out to see one of the great racing spectacles of Europe, the premier all-age race over 1.5 miles. Takes quite some doing. Very, very different to the King George 1.5 miles, top of the ground at Ascot in high summer, to come here with the ground changing quite significantly and on the soft side. Takes a real horse to be able to do it in under both sets of conditions. Runners making their way now towards the post on the far side of the course. Pure Grain, of course, number 15, carrying the hopes of Britain, trained by Michael Stout, ridden by John Reed. She's been so impressive in a couple of her wins, in fact several of her wins. The Yorkshire Oaks she was quite good, but when she won the Kildangan Stud Irish Oaks at the Curragh by 6 lengths from Russian Snows, that was when people started thinking of this race.
Yes, what we didn't know until then was whether she'd act on soft ground, because she's not the most robust filly, but there she is, one from the left, and we found out today because she really skated through it. You can see that she's such a delicate little filly. She doesn't really go into the ground. She's just kicking the top off. And look back to the second horse, and that is Russian Snows. And Russian Snows won in brilliant style here yesterday. Michael Stout had a smile as wide as the two banks of the Seine. So we know that she stays. We know she can handle the ground. She's had a tough season, but it's only her 5th run, and she looks in good form. A 9-to-1 shot, Pure Grey.
I think the interesting the interesting thing, Julian, also is whether she can actually accelerate. The way this race is run will be completely different to the Irish Oaks, where she was able to use her great galloping ability. She galloped away from the others on that occasion. This time she's going to have to show acceleration. There's Swain, number 11, owned by Sheikh Mohammed, trained by Andre Fabre. Mick Cannan in the saddle, unbeaten in 5 runs to date. The Grand Prix de Deauville was a fair performance, battled very hard to beat Zilzal Zaman, and also a runner in today's race, Sunrise Song. Good performance, but his supporters, Swain, are banking on the fact that he's going to excel in this ground.
One of the big questions about the race is the pace. There's no official pacemaker in the race. And indeed, there is no horse that regularly makes strong running, so it's just possible we may have a muddling pace today, and it may be the horse that quickens best off a medium pace that wins. Freedom Cry, well, obviously the less the pace the better for him, because he is the doubtful stayer in the race. But I think this is a race, an arc, that you need to be handy in. I think you want to be in the first 6 turning in.
His performance in Ireland was first-class, Freedom Cry, running Pentire to a short head. He has won over 1 mile and 3 in soft ground at Baden-Baden. This, of course, is a much stronger field than he encountered then. I think he actually beat Alderbrook and Lando in soft grounds. He's had 5 runs this year, Freedom Cry, and the Andre Fabre confidence, I understand, is there with Freedom Cry today.
Strategic choice, well, he'd be best suited by the strongest possible gallop. He showed he stayed 1 mile and 3/4 well in Ireland. And he's just about earned his place in this field. Remember, less than 2 lengths behind Lantara at Ascot. A real stout.
He's in great form as well. His stable, Paul Cole, turned out 3 winners yesterday at Goodwood. So the stable's in great form. Interesting that a poor run in Germany for strategic choice actually put his preparation out of kilter. I think they were going to aim straight towards this race. They ended up going for the Irish St. Leger. Took a little bit out of him, but Paul Cole reports that he's back on song now.
And Walter Swinburne has dismounted from Balanchine. They've got to the start at least 5 minutes early. Horse is being led round, and as you can see, Balanchine's attendant is leading her round, Walter off her back.
Arriving down there so early, I think could be nerve-wracking for many of the jockeys involved. Not so Walter Swinburne, who has nerves of steel. He's one of the coolest big race jockeys. In fact, his reputation is as a big race specialist. He's proved it time and again. And wouldn't it be ironic if he got up on Balanchine today and actually defeated Lantara, and he lost the ride on earlier this season.
This is gunboat diplomacy. Like Ernest, who won yesterday's Prix du Cadran, was bought out of a claimer, believe it or not. It was a real big comeback at Maison Lafitte. Dominique Boeuf rides the 2 Wildenstein runners, one trained by Andre Fabre, this one trained by Elie Lelouch.
Certainly a soft ground specialist, gunboat diplomacy. Being by Dominion, though, you wonder just a little bit about the trip. But also another slight worry is the fact that this horse underwent a knee operation and was then off the scene for 16 months. Has returned, but also that's always in the back of your mind. Just a little bit of worry about the injury, and also in this ground here this afternoon. A no tougher test in Europe today.
This is Lando, the German champion, ridden by Michael Roberts. There was doubt about his running yesterday because of the soft ground, because he ran no sort of race at all in the Grosser Preis von Baden, where it was almost bottomless. But he has won on soft ground, this horse, and what an exceptional horse he is. He's won over £1 million, or the equivalent of £1 million in francs. But will the ground be against him?
That's the big question, the ground here this afternoon. He did run a good race last year in the Arc. He wasn't that far behind them in the blanket finish, in the run right up the home straight. And he is an exceptional performer. 6 times he's won in Group 1 company. And they're the sort of credentials you like to see for a race such as this.
The sun is still trying to look through the clouds, but there is rain about. In fact, light rain is starting to fall, and there's a very ominous cloud about. We were warned the weather would be changeable. It's certainly changing at present.
$2.2 to 1 now. Carnegie and Swain and Balanchine linked together, along with Lamtara at the same price, just under 9 to 4. Then 5.3 to 1 Carling, 6.2 to 1 Gunboat Diplomacy and Freedom Cry linked, 8.5 to 1 Pure Grain, 22.2 to 1 Luso, 22.2 to 1 El Sambrador, 22.6 to 1 Lando, and 22.8 to 1 Strategic Choice. But look at those wide variations in the prices. You've still got the choice to choose between starting price and the British option.
El Sembrador, the Argentinian champion. What a horse he's been. Last year's winner of the Argentine Derby, owned by Jose Luis Palacios. A real sporting challenge, this, but it's all new for El Sembrador, who run in North America after this race.
It was great to see his connections, their proudest moment to be here with their jockey in the saddle this afternoon. Well, the last of the runners are now starting to load up for the 40 Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe of 1995. Time to join our commentator, Peter O'Sullivan.
Just 5 to go for this race, for which the first prize is 479,191 to the second, 95 to the third, and 47 to the fourth. And of the 24 nationwide tipsters here in France, interesting to note, 16 have gone for Lamtara, 5 for Balanchine, only 2 for the locals, Carnegie, and 1 for Swain. And El Sembrador, Carling, Carnegie, and Freedom Cry are the 4 to go now. Carling getting a reassuring pat there from Thierry Tuillier. She's just being led up to her stall. That's Freedom Cry on the far side, almost indistinguishable, incidentally, from Gunboat Diplomacy. Carnegie, the previous winner, just a little bit on his toes. He goes in there very sweetly, and now just Freedom Cry and Olivier Pellier to go, and then all 16 will be installed for the 1995 Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe. And that's it, the runner orders, and they're running. And Carling is one of the first to show over on the far side, with Swain going up to join her. Lamtara's prominent, and so's Luso, and Luso's come to take it up now. Luso taking it up under Cash Asmussen from Carling in second, then Strategic Choice and Lamtara and Pure Grain on the inside. Then comes Toe Tar. Just behind Toe Tar is Sunrise Song, with Carnegie coming next, and then El Tenor, and the Argentinian challenger is one of the back markers now, with Party Prowl and El